and help us feel better. Okay? That's what we can do. Okay? So, looking at the symptoms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss now. I put the symptoms that I was working with in this class here. And everyone is different. This is a generic class. Okay, and I really did, for several years, have a lot of menopausal and perimenopausal people in the class, and I think those are the people I attracted to that schedule. I was in the ladies' club at 5:30 every Wednesdays and Thursdays, or what is it? Mondays and Thursdays. So I think this is the kind of clientele I attracted to that class. It's very interesting. Anyway, so hot flashes. Um, maybe you have maybe your mom or your friends who have explained to you. Oh no!
Really live.
Yeah, she's making her presence known. How hot flashes suddenly come on. Okay. Um, so studies show that 15 minutes of mindful breathing can cut hot flashes by 40%. And we did this in the start. You know, I did a 20-minute pranayama mindful breathing session. That's the first thing we did. Remember that?
Yeah.
Pay attention to the heart center and keep the energy of the heart circulating well throughout the body, because it does help with the other symptoms as well. But for hot flashes, number one, mindful breathing. Pranayama is the one that helps with this a lot. So you know how I did the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know that one?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be 8. The point is, 15 minutes of that kind of mindful deep breathing a day cuts hot flashes by 40%. But there are other things we can do and respond when they happen. For example, the cooling breath. Either this one or this one. So when they come on, we do that just to help us cope during that time. Okay? For the hot flashes, another thing that helps is cooling poses or forward bends. Help you to reduce the symptoms. So if you notice, the number one trademark of this class, one of them, is the fact that I did a lot of forward bends. And remember the 2-minute Paschimottanasana that I did? So you want to do cooling. Forward bends are cooling poses. Did child's pose a lot. Didn't do too many twists. Didn't do too many arm balances. And didn't do too many deep back bends. Although back bends are great. But what we're trying to do here is cool the body. Okay? Cool the body. Okay. So to recap hot flashes, we have the mindful deep breathing, 15 minutes a day. The mindful deep breathing, the cooling breaths, and the forward bends. Okay?
And what I've learned in my studies is, in terms of not treating the actual symptoms, but the prevention, then either you find that two ways of managing it. So firstly, the more restful practices, so yoga nidra and restorative yoga being especially important.
Which we'll do after breakfast.
And on the other side, for some women, the burn off the heat approach. So this is what the flow.
That's
Not
why
necessarily.
we are
I'm
doing the
not necessarily saying a particularly heating type sequence. So, for example, what we did in module 2, not that.
You wouldn't go that far.
But
It's too much.
for some women, they find, according to what I've learned, that it sometimes does help to. It's almost like you're burning off the fire. So there are two basic responses, but it's quite unique to each woman what combination of those two actually works for them.
So if you notice the style of the class, I didn't really hold the poses that long, except the cooling poses. I did a vinyasa flow. We moved a lot. We used the breath a lot. We flowed, which is when you're talking about burning off the heat, you add a lot of air, and you let the fire burn itself out. Okay. We did some twists, but we didn't do a really intense twist because then that's gonna turn the burner on. You don't want to do that. But twists are good in that regard. So depression and mood swings. There's a lot of it's tied into this uncertainty and irregularity, the psycho-emotional trademark of you don't know what's happening. And this lack of control. If you're a control person, you're gonna have an extremely hard time. Because it's not in your control, and you just have to make peace with that somehow. So the depression and mood swings, the hormonal changes causing that, plus the lack of uncertainty, irregularity, your need to unlearn this thing that you've been doing this whole life of controlling stuff. Now you realize that you've got no control. And for a lot of people, that's a big big issue. Um, so two things for that. Um, Depression and all this stuff, heart openers. Lack of energy, low on energy, heart openers. Depending on what is your capacity to do it. So I started out with really mild heart openers. Feel the heart space, expand the energy of the heart. And this helps us to do one thing, which is surrender. See, the thing is, this is your control. Right here. If you control a lot in your life, what happens is this. So you're trying to hold. You understand me? You're trying to hold, and you think that everything needs to be held.
Unexpressed anger and fear.
Yeah, exactly. It's up here. You're trying to hold on to all of this. And when you take the body in the opposite direction, you're you have no choice but to let go. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. That's why like back bends have to be gradually explored and deepened. As however the level of the person, if you notice all the back bends got more, 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 and more. And I used a lot of language. What kind of language did I use to deal with these things? Think about something that made you happy. Or remove or throw away. All of this is pretty tantric. Take your sponge and throw all the crap out of you. Things like this when you're trying to let go. It's like this one. I used this one. I used this one. Remove your dark coat and let the jewel of your heart shine. So these are not just fluff. They're put there on purpose to get people to feel this idea of letting go. And then the Shavasana was particularly in here for uncertainty and irregularity. Uncertainty and irregularity requires trust. And if your life didn't really teach you how to trust, then you have more difficulty. So visualization, meditations, and we'll probably do more in Yoga Nidra to let go. But in this very short Shavasana, I use the raft going downstream, and you're just cradled by the water. You don't know where you're going, but it's okay. This sort of visualization. Okay, low energy, back bends. Twists and back bends. Okay, but again, delivered in a gradual way, and not, okay, let's do the wheel from nothing. Okay, because it's a little, if someone's like this, it's kind of too much. Okay, so you just, headache. cooling and balancing the energy channels of the body usually helps with that. So, alternate nostril breathing. If there's lack of flow or irregular flow in the head between the right and left hemisphere of the brain, usually circulation problem in the back of the neck is one of the things that cause headaches. Energy, it's a really magical time, Autumn. Speaking from a Kundalini point of view, what I read into headaches is energy is rising up. It's being liberated from this area because this area is shutting down, so it's coming up. And it's getting stuck in your head. From the Kundalini point of view. Okay? The way we handle it, when we have a Kundalini rising and it gets stuck in your head, headache happens. And the way we handle it is this, feel this part here, the soft bit, squeeze it. So everyone take your fingers here. With the soft bit between your neck and skull, start from here, come in, and give it a really hard squeeze. And press your head into your hands, and you might need to use both hands or just one. Or, better, go up to a friend and help them do it. So let's find a friend. I'll show you where it is, since you have short hair. Find a friend, take your hands, start here, and just squeeze inward. See how I'm sliding my hands in? Put your other hand here.
Oh, that's painful.
Wait. It is painful when you start it. Count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why is it painful? Because she's holding on a lot of tension there. 5, that's why it hurts. 6, breathe into your belly. This is the instruction you give. Breathe into your belly so they can relax. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now how does it feel?
Much better.
Okay, much better because I'm not squeezing you anymore. But see, if someone has a headache, what that's going to do is it's going to release. There's a lot of circulation. Your jugular vein is here somewhere. And when your neck gets tight with tension, there's a lot of worry in here. Neck gets tight with tension. Shoulders rise up. Again, this whole thing of holding on and lack of control and all this. What happens to the back of your neck is circulation is cut. Circulation is cut into your head, and then the headache starts.
Not really.
So aside from squeezing here,
Squeeze more.
you can also drop your head down and do this.
Yeah, you're very soft. There's like no.
And slowly come up.
Nothing.
Alternate nostril breathing helps. Belly breathing helps. Just to release the tension. Find a friend and try it. Okay, find a friend and try it.
7. Breathe into your belly.
No, trust me, you can finish it, but I think
My turn.
So feel. It's okay?
So it's here. Let me show you where it is. It's here. And let me show you where it is on you. Can you feel it here? Right below where the neck meets the skull. Right underneath where the neck, not in the neck. Here, a little higher here. Okay? Where the neck and the skull meets. Here, the hairline. Okay? So try from there.
does it need to hurt,
Yeah,
Billy?
that's what it's
Mine doesn't.
saying.
You are not holding any fear or anything. Mine is. Yeah, but it's not always. I do this to myself. So. Yeah, I think it's better.
Not painful for you?
No, not at all.
It's like no, that's good. Then.
Yeah, it's a firm grip. So you start here, and it's a little firm, yeah? You slide in, so it's firm. Okay, so I'll show you how it feels. Okay, so from here, so you're right underneath where the neck is. Okay, this is like the
Attempt to film it. One more time, baby. I know you love it.
No, I don't want to.
I can barely reach.
It's quite soothing for the head. So train your kids or your husband. To you. Pee-wee, can you do for Emily? Yeah. Mine doesn't hurt.
So people all like that.
That's a problem. No, it doesn't have. Not everything
Come
has
on,
to.
go to your house.
1,999.
Oh, it shouldn't. Why will it hurt? You've got the baby in there. You're not pulling any tension. You're the opposite of pulling tension.
You know, massage.
It's not going to hurt. What's wrong with you?
Come on.
It's just reflecting your
I'm
stage
tired,
of
so whenever
life.
I massage,
Yeah,
that's
things like
tired,
that.
right?
All Thai people, no Thai massage.
So that's. So again, for the headache, balancing the brain, releasing the shoulders, balancing the brain, releasing the shoulders and the neck.
Going into ball.
Sit down, sit down.
I love it when it's just.
Balancing the shoulder, drop your chin slightly there. Releasing the shoulders and the brain. Alternate nostril breaths to help manage the flow of energy through the chakras. And if you notice, the music I used was a mix between nostalgia and
Yeah, it
positivity.
was. It was nice.
Okay, because
Exactly like
yeah, exactly, nostalgia and positivity. So I use a lot of fun songs. I use a lot of old songs, old nice songs, not drama filled like. No,
It's a midlife
no, not that one. Not that one.
That's too much in the face.
No, that's not
Too much.
crisis.
Fun old songs. Fun old songs with a positive theme.
I might put it for fun.
You know, you don't wanna put any Adele in there because it's about breaking up and it's kind of different. You wanna put light, positive, fun songs, and a lot of reminiscing to the good times and a lot of, just so if you are feeling a little low that day, even just hearing that piece of music kind of helps you feel better. So using music in that regard, and in the end, I dropped the energy down and did something
Might have to teach
beautiful.
your own age group, otherwise you'll be stuck.
No, I have had times where I had to change my playlist.
Right.
I've had those times when,
Yeah.
and I do it. Like if someone goes, let's say there's a 60-year-old in there, and she's like, "Is this yoga music?" And I'll go, "Sometimes it is," and then I'll change the music. So it it depends on who your audience is as well. But I just wanted you to
I love it. It was the best playlist for me ever.
I just wanted you to see an idea of what you can do with a playlist. So the songs are not random. They're used to a purpose. Okay, and if you really love music, you can probably create your own playlist and mess around. If you really don't get music, just forget it. Okay? Just do a silent class because it's hard to force something that's not you. Okay? It just so happens that's me. Okay? Okay, and I'm sure Joe has a lot to add to what I've just said.
Yeah.
And again, remember, this is a symptom management class. Okay, there's a difference, two approaches. You manage the symptoms or you prevent them from happening. This is symptom management. Okay.
Yeah, and getting a little bit more yoni focused. Perimenopause is the time when women might start to feel less juicy and experience vaginal dryness. So that's not in the news, is it? So we don't talk much about that. It doesn't pop up in Hatha Yoga, is it?
Really talk about if your vagina's a little dry today, then maybe we can do
So
this.
it's kind of taboo stuff. But actually, there are practices in tantra that deal with juicing ourselves up So one of those is the Taoist tradition, the deer tradition, and this, and you know how we're always doing this, seeding the source with love movement. This is our, kind of iconic womb yoga movement. So this is kind of the foundation of that. But the Taoist tradition is called the deer technique, and it's the part of yoga we don't go. It's boob yoga, right? So it's funny. There's not many YouTube videos because, as you can imagine, the wrong audience comes in. So I've seen one woman sort of doing this, but obviously this is a deeply personal, nourishing, and beautiful practice. Which let's see if we can add it. We don't really have time now, but it's, and also I have to get you to wear loose t-shirts and so on. It's no good with your sports bra. So it's a physical connection, and it's literally honoring this heart space, honor and finding a connection with the Anahata chakra, really, and it's also it also comes into autumn in our moon cycle. So number one PMT remedy actually is the deer technique. So it's if you if you are sort of in mega rage, how can you? It's like stoking the heart. It's like finding the heart energy. Probably. I also think that spending time with breastfeeding women could, this could be. I found that very therapeutic, especially as a woman who didn't, who has a very. I was talking to Anna Maria about my minefield breastfeeding journey the other day, which went wrong twice, and wasn't my finest Earth Mother moment. But it's actually now what I like to sometimes sit with a breastfeeding woman, and it's almost like if you connect to that energy, it's in the same way as like the deer technique gives you that, shines your inner heart and juices you up. It's actually the same. I've started. Now I'm like I really enjoy being with my breastfeeding friends, because I'm kind of like I'm sort of catching their energy, and so I can almost it's kind of healing for me actually to be in that space. And if you're choosing, or life has chosen for you not to have children, it's also this getting in touch with your it's more really the Bhuvaneshwari energy, really, and tapping into that through the deer technique, or this simple acts of being in the space of the nurturing baby is really, really therapeutic. So that's also at the heart of juicing your body. You're literally sharing that, and that's in Yoni Shakti. That's the technique that Uma's offering for vaginal dryness, and hopefully I'll have the other practice, which is something which now you're obviously aware of and you're hearing a lot about, is the yoni egg practice. Everyone heard of the yoni egg practice? And some obviously looking at me like, yeah, of course, yeah. So I'm hoping that I might be able to bring Maya into the session tomorrow afternoon if it works out, and Maya is going to kind of come in and be Matangi and Kamalatmika and bring us she has a business with ethically sourced yoni eggs, which I have one, and I only started using that this year. It was completely new to me. I was like, oh, now I'm in Bali, I thought have to embrace these things. So so now, and also hearing from menopausal women. So traditionally, it's also from the Taoist tradition. It's traditionally the egg is made of jade. So you've heard of jade egg. So some people will swear by jade is the only, it's the jade egg. That's it. So the other, I've got a different stone that Maya sells. It's good for the throat chakra as well. So I thought that sounds good for me. And she'll tell you. I'm not an expert, but she knows that she's in the business of yoni eggs. So, but according to the women that I've spoken to, and including my own teacher Uma, the yoni eggs is one of the really important parts of addressing the lack of juice. So we use the yoni eggs are used in menopause to maintain our fluids and our juice and keep us connected to that energy. And it's got to be. I'm sure. I can't imagine that Dubai Ladies Club would. We could have
we can't have a workshop.
Talk about that, but
eggs.
being in Bali, there are a lot of women who are involved in that. So hopefully Maya, unless you have any objections, Maya will come and have a little talk about that, amongst other things. She might share with us. Okay, so interested?
Yeah.
Yep. I think it's an important part of. I'm always like. I think I'm still stuck in Dubai. That the police are going to shut me down.
So I just want to say that
Yeah.
it is all available in Dubai too.
Yeah, it is all available in Dubai. There's no, but yeah, it's not necessarily. People are not necessarily putting it on Facebook.
They use other names like Golden Lotus.
Yeah, Golden Lotus,
That's the name of the
Taoist
company.
traditions.
Yeah, but then she talks about it as the Golden Lotus practice.
Golden Lotus
It doesn't
practice.
mention yoni
Don't
eggs
mention
at
the
all.
but that's the way to go. That's what I've been doing with Shakti celebration. Like I just delete any word that meant. My friend was coming to do tantra and a tantra practice, and in her description it was like orgasm this, and I was like, okay, you will do the session, but on my advertising I'm just gonna delete all those words just for my own protection in Dubai. But so according to the women that I know, this is a big part of that. Okay, so just to add in to that, and what else? And I think we might have run out of time. What's the? I don't know.
9 o'clock.
9. Okay, 9 o'clock. So okay. So where are we going? So I don't know if I'm gonna want to launch into the next section. So I've got somewhere I'd like to go for 10 minutes. Okay. So I just want to introduce a little bit more because we're still. This is our debut in perimenopause and menopause today. Last year we weren't quite ready to go there, but so I have offered to our yantra, to our altar today, both Bagalamukhi, and this is Bagalamukhi's yantra, and Vaida, so both of the energies. So just to recap on the energies of the goddesses, so Bagalamukhi is the goddess who presides over perimenopause. So you can see I kind of tried to go a little symbolic in the way I've represented her. So we have, we still have the red flowers here, and kind of dispersed with the white flowers as well. And then when we cross over to menopause, and menopause is officially defined as having gone through 1 year of your life without bleeding. Okay, so it's like, so perimenopause is the process of the cycle changing, becoming more erratic, the time period people go through is very dependent on the person. So you can't say it's going to start at a particular age, it's going to end at a particular age, or it's going to be this amount of time, or it's going to be this amount of time. So it's very dependent on the woman. And I also know that people say that it's also part of your inherited DNA. So it's a lot of people maybe. If you have, I've tried to do this, but I failed miserably because my grandmother was about 95, and I asked her, "When did you have your menopause?" And she was like, "I don't know, dear. That was a long time ago." And I didn't get, and the rest of my female relatives weren't available to ask, so I didn't know. So it is worth if you're able, to start the conversation with any female relative in your, if it's a possibility for you. It's interesting to know. Okay. So, for me today, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Bagalamukhi with the help of Uma. So I'm just going to sit down and take the bolster, okay? So, and what I do actually want you to do something. So if you're going to need, for the next 10 minutes, you're going to need a pen and paper. So grab your pen and paper. You won't have it. And we'll come back to this after the breakfast as well. So, so I just want you to start by having a look at the goddess. You can see up close. Have a pass her around. Okay. So okay. So as I talk, what I would like you to do is create a little mind map. So you look closely. Okay. So Bagalamukhi is the name of the perimenopause. So you can put that in the middle of your notebook page or your paper. And then you can do a few little spider webs here around her. And with the help of my teacher and her work, I'm going to share some information about her. And what I want you to do is, as you listen, I want you to write down some of the key points and the poignant things that you hear as I talk, so you'll have this kind of record of what I'm saying. Okay? Alright, so the whole concept of Bagalamukhi is she is the paralyzer. Okay? So you can see her clasping the tongue of I don't know actually how you describe this consort of hers. She grabs the tongue. So the translation of Bagalamukhi, so you actually know half of it from your training, I'm sure. So Mukhi, Mukha, Adho Mukha Svanasana.
Dog.
Face. Spano is, yeah, you did, it's a few weeks ago you did your module 1 and 2, you might want to get into your notebooks. So Mukha is face, and in Bengali, and Bengal is the home of Tantra as well as Assam, so Bagala means noose, okay, you know the noose to hang someone, noose, the rope that goes around your neck, okay? So, bless you. So, Bagalamukhi is, the noose over the head. You're literally paralyzed in your present state. Okay, so that's and I always like Uma always calls her cunt face. So yeah, so which is interesting. So okay, so on one level, the image of her is kind of like that. She's so stunning. It's like you're zapped. Like, you know, it's that kind of like paralyzation. You know, the whole image of her is just so shocking that you're literally paralyzed. And then if you look at that from the point of view of your midlife crisis, okay, so the power of the paralyzer is to cause us to stop, to look backwards, as in the autumn of our menstrual cycle, and review who we are and where we have come from, so that we may more clearly evaluate where it is we would like to be heading in our wisdom years in our future. Okay? So this is the energy of the life stage. Okay? So perimenopause is often a time of confusion and sometimes anger or dismay, when the forward dash of younger years and the outward focus of mothering or minding businesses and professional or creative projects may reach an impasse. So although there's a new phenomena in the world where actually the menopause of a woman has still got a whole load of kids, me, you know, and whereas my ancestors, by the looks of, I've looked at when they had their kids, they would have got rid of them by menopause. More or less, you know, because they were having their children younger, and that's been, you know, it's very much more unusual in my family history. I see that I think there was one woman in the entire line who had one child when she was 41. That was it. And I've got most of the information from the 1700s because I'm British and it's super easy. It's just called ancestry.com. You know, 50 quid. You can, you know, all you need is your grandparents' information. That's all you need, and then you're bum 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 bum. 2 days later, you've got all of that information. Okay. Okay. So that's a new kind of new area for us, but you know, this is the traditional concept. At the level of our bodies, this is often a time when we notice changes or pauses in the menstrual cycle. So you're no longer you're no longer in this 28-day cycle. And I suppose for some of us who are a very who ride a very comforting journey of 28 days, it's probably going to be quite a shock when that changes, right? It's going to be a hello moment, right? I know, you know, I've had conversations with, you know, with you guys about it. So we've become aware of the signs of aging. Okay, so no 40-something-year-old woman has looked in the mirror and not noticed signs of aging. You know, this is a natural effect of the modern world. And we also become aware of the signs of having lived in our bodies for 45 years. 45 plus years, 45 minus years. Okay? All of these signs direct us to turn our attention inward, to stop the outward activities, or at least temporarily to enter into stillness and reconsider everything we think we know. So what Uma's saying here is kind of cool. To grow or die. It's kind of like, it sounds like a kind of like a, sounds a bit like a movie, doesn't it? A Hollywood movie. Grow or die. It is a time when regrets or anger about things we have not done, or energies we may have misplaced in activities we no longer value, read, you know, wearing stilettos, etc., need to be faced. So we have to face up to, you know, where society, where culture, where the limiting vision of the feminine has led us. You know, the kind of faced with that at this time. And the person whom Bagalamukhi paralyzes at this stage in life is ourselves. So, coming back to the image that I'm passing around of Bagalamukhi, that we don't really need a name for that consort anyway, because it's ourselves. Okay? There probably is a name, but not the point. Okay? So the truth is we have forgotten ourselves and we are hypnotized by the allure of external objects and identities. Bagalamukhi breaks this eternal hypnosis through the greater hypnotic power of spiritual knowledge that causes us to lose interest in the idea of an external reality. Okay? So this is the thing. This is like the true autumn. It's coming, you kind of realize that all that was just a pile of everything you thought was important when you were 21 was just a complete pile of shit, and it is no longer relevant. It's no longer part of your life, and this is the time where we need to pause. Men, a pause. Okay, more like woman. I don't know who. Woman a pause makes more sense. Woman a pause. It's a woman a pause. You can put that on your shit. So what this means at this point in our lives is a growing sense that it is imperative to follow the promptings of our inner guide. And if you've been in the yoga world, then you've kind of got a kind of head start, because you've been listening to people telling you to follow your inner voice for eons, correct? That's really, every good yoga teacher tells you that, every single class, if I'm not mistaken, okay? For those women who embody the wisdom of Bagalamukhi, the allure of outward focus, in particular focus on youthful glamour, begin to lose their attraction. A deeper magic is at work, and we may become enchanted by the emerging sense of a profound calling, a way to be in the world that truly honours our power. So, my friend was talking about the wise woman's stage of life and calling it the enchantress, and I'm what are you talking about? Enchantress? What's that? So that made no sense to me at all. But here, this kind of clarifies it. So Bagalamukhi is directly expressive of the powers of the great enchantress, or the Maga. That word ring a bell? The sorceress, who represents the fourth aspect of a woman's life. And it comes after all of the other stages. So it comes after the spring, and it comes after the mothering, and it becomes before the crone. It's the time of holding the powers of enchantment. Is not about bewitching others, but about being deeply drawn into the magical and empowering discovery of our own true nature, warts and all. She doesn't write that. As the earlier, more outwardly directed roles of maiden and mother fall away. So, in your maiden and mother, this is the life stage where you're out in the world. So this is your inner season, spring and summer as well. So you're out in the world, you're doing stuff, you're getting everything done, you're taking care of the kids, you're doing a full-time job, you're doing both at the same time, without any help. Bagalamukhi's great siddhi is the capacity to transfix and disarm us, to halt us in our habitual patterns. The quintessential experience of perimenopause. Everything begins to stop, and we question deeply how we are to live in the chaos caused by the falling away of patterns. Okay? So there is no longer this beautiful 28-day cycle we know and love, perhaps not. We are basically, and as we kind of experienced this morning, we're kind of like in the realm of having to deal with uncertainty and chaos. Okay, so that is Bagalamukhi. Bagalamukhi gives us the gift of clear speech. She is associated with the power of speech in as far as it expresses the ultimate truth. Once the initial shock of our encounter with Bagalamukhi is processed, we gain the perspective of middle age on the activities of youth. And then we are empowered to pronounce them, to voice the truth of how we can really feel about the things that have passed. So it's like, truth. It's the time where there's no more bullshit. there is just saying how you feel and being honest about how you feel. Okay, if you know, if someone, you know, it's like no is no. Sorry, you know, you have you're invited to step into that space. Okay, into that truth speaker. You know, and you know, I feel like I've stopped speaking now, but there are either two kinds of women around. There are the women who basically just feel, understandably, that they need to stay in the maiden stage of life, and then I guess it's the kind of plastic surgery and road to wisdom, probably not getting us too far in the inner wisdom department, or there's the embracing of the change. It's like, you know, and you know, doesn't our whole yoga career lead us to the point of saying you have to be where you are? And Pee Wee said that this morning. It's like, you know, and even if it's a slightly crazy world, you know, and who knows how crazy this world's going to be, I have no idea. We don't know what's coming. But Bhagavatamukhi is there to say, stop! Listen! I've got something to say, and you better listen. And it's loud, right? I don't know how it feels, but it's kind of like, it's burning. It's burning. It's kind of loud and clear. So a little bit of an introduction to Bhagavatamukhi. We'll have breakfast, and then after breakfast, we'll have a more experiential version of Bhagavatamukhi in the form of Yoga Nidra. Okay? Might speak more. I get to see how it goes. Okay?